Hello guys and welcome back to Peninsula Painting Projects. How are we all doing? As usual, it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer Wednesday, it's Warhammer 40k Conquest Wednesday. Now this is issue 26, which retails at $7.99. We get some paints in here, which we're going to have a little look at now. So, as I was saying, in this issue, we get the Reivers fleshy paint by Citadel and the Abaddon Black as well, which is a base paint. Now, the base paint retails at £2.75 because Games Workshop have recently just put their prices up, unfortunately. And the Reivers flesh shade, I don't know whether that's gone up. Has that gone up by maybe about 20 pence as well, possibly? So they in total are £7.50 for the two. So technically, sort of, we're at a loss of about 49 pence. But however, this magazine, this didn't cost nothing to produce, did it? So, you know, it's got to be worth a couple of quid, hasn't it, really? So all in all, you're sort of getting at least your money back. And obviously the content of this magazine is probably worth something, especially if you're new to the hobby as well. So it's not all that bad. Now I'm a little bit disappointed because although the wash is needed for this issue, for this slow build magazine, we need this to shade in obviously the skin tone. I'm not sure what else they're going to suggest to use for this, but the black, we don't need another black. You know, I don't know about you guys, but we haven't had enough miniatures to paint with black in the first place. So I would have liked to see a different colour, possibly maybe like another blue to highlight the blues, or maybe another green to highlight obviously the Death Guard. Put them to one side and let's have a look at the magazine. So within this issue, we're going to learn about Reivers Guilliman. So I'm not even going to say who he is yet because we can have a little look in there. Discover the Great Unclean Ones and detailed painting guides, which will be quite interesting to see what they say. So, the Age of the Imperium. So this is a bit of information about after the Horus Heresy, which obviously is a point in history where one of the Primarchs, one of the sons of the Emperor, should we say, who is a Primarch, he turned against the Emperor and the rest of his brotherhood. So here's the Eye of Terror, Cadia, which has now fallen. So there's a bit of information here about M31, which is the time period. And then we've got Xenos Rising. So without reading this, I presume, obviously after the Horus Heresy, the Imperium was slightly shattered. Slightly is actually an understatement. And all the Xenos races probably rose up and defied the Imperium. And then the Forcing, Nova Terra. So there's a bit more information there about the different time periods throughout history. Cicerax Maledictorum. So that is a beautiful picture there of Abaddon the Destroyer destroying Cadia, I think that is. So the Great Rift was caused by Abaddon the Destroyer, Master of the Black Legion. So there's some information there about the galaxy. A little bit of information here about the Great Unclean Ones. Now when it says the Great Unclean Ones, does that mean that there's more than one? I always thought there was just one Great Unclean One, but obviously the information will be here for me to find out, and I can obviously increase my knowledge about the hobby, because let's face it, I don't know everything, and I'm sure a lot of you guys don't know everything. So it's that's a bit handy as well. Nice bit of artwork here. Another bit of Nurgling artwork there. Demons of Legend. And the Death Guard Possessed, which will be an interesting read. What else have we got here? So Possession and the Gifts of Nurgle, Possessed Warriors. Now I didn't think Nurgle could have Possessed Warriors. I thought it was just the other Chaos Legions. Anyway, here's some information about Reivers Guilliman. He is obviously the Primarch of the Ultramarines and the Lord Commander of the Imperium. So he's number one, he's the golden boy. Service records, he was a part of the Great Crusade, the Horus Heresy, the Scouring and the Indomitus Crusade. The Martyrs Crusade. Specialisms is tactical mastermind and expert politician. So here's some information here. And there he is sitting on his throne of Ultramar, which would have been Terra, I believe. Am I got that right? Possibly, I don't know. And then Guilliman's return. So obviously Guilliman was put into a stasis chamber after one of the expeditions, and then he was brought back alongside the Primaris Space Marines. And here's some information here about the Blood Angels, which I wasn't expecting for that to be in here, which is quite good. So their homeworld is Baal, their Primarch is Sanguinius, who is unfortunately dead. And there's the major engagements, specialisms as well. Now these are pretty much basically space vampires. Ultramarines are basically just like, you know, the blue collar, goody two-shoe boys, you know, the pretty much Marines. These are, Blood Angels are basically space vampires, and they have to prevent themselves from falling to the Black Rage, where they want to drink blood. So that'll be an interesting read here as well. Now, Commander Dante, bit of information here. He's the chapter master, and the different colour helmets for obviously the Blood Angels, and the different markings for the companies there as well. And then we've also got the Death Company. Now, Flesh Shade, telling us how to wash the faces. Now, is it telling us to do pin washing or just wash over the whole face? Before you begin painting your model with the shade paint, you will need to make sure you have your brush and a pot of clean water at hand. Shade paint should settle into the recesses of the model to create depth and shadow. If you're shading larger areas with a flat surface, make sure you don't allow the shade paint to pool in the flat areas. So load up the brush, dip your brush into the top of the paint pot lid. If you get too much shade on the paint, I like against the inside of your paint pot lid. Now that's what I do. I basically use the paint pot lid as my palette. So I'll also dip it in either the pot itself or the remnants of the wash on the top. And if it's too much in, I just scrape it across the inside of the lid. I never use a palette for washes. I think that's a waste, a complete and utter waste. So I think it's basically saying here, just to put in the recesses where most of us do an all over wash of the face and then lay it back up. So that's quite interesting. And obviously it's telling us to do the whole washing with the skins and stuff and the flesh. Yeah, it's pretty much the fleshes here of the Death Guard as well. And obviously the Poxwalkers. And then the Mythitic Blight Hauler, the Tainted Cohort. So it's pretty much repeated. They didn't need to give us all those pages the same. It would have all been the same. So finding Felfius is the next mission for this week. And we're setting up different deploy zones here, the battlefield edge. So we've got 2 units of 3 Reivers versus 3 Plague Marines and 6 Poxwalkers. The victory conditions, the Space Marines must have at least 1 model reach the other side of the playmat before the end of the battle. As soon as this model has touched the mat edge, the Space Marines win. The Death Guard must stop the Space Marines from reaching the other side of the playmat. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds. That'd be quite interesting. So I wish I had the time to try and test these missions out and see how they do fare up. You know, who's always got the advantage? Is it the Ultramarines or is it the Death Guard? And then that's that. Here's another decapitation strike. 5 Plague Marines, a Foul Blight Spawn, 12 Poxwalkers, Lord Feltius, Tainted Cohort versus 5 Intercessors, Redemptor Dreadnought, 3 Aggressors, 5 Reivers and Lieutenant Calcius. Bloody Nora, that's quite a lot there. That'd be interesting to play as well. And what do we get next week? Next week we get issue 27. We get, I'm presuming, 1 sprue of a Rhino, and then issue 28 we're getting maybe another 1 or 2 sprues of the same Rhino to complete the full model, which, you know, it was to be expected. I don't really expect Hatchet to give us a whole Rhino in 1 issue. That's not a big issue for me personally. I'm looking forward to getting this. Now, if you've not got any third party retailers around you, I would probably advise you to buy a couple of these, because you know it's going to be what, £18, is it? And they're £16 for the two, is it? Yeah, £16. So not for the two, yeah. £16 for the 2 issues. So £16 for a full Rhino. I think a Rhino retails is about £25 to £30, or £25 to £35, something along those lines. So I would advise you guys to probably get more than one, because I don't think any shop could sell it cheaper than that, to be honest. Not even myself. So guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment, and I'll see you soon. Ta.